it was people that I met on that council that had domestic violence issues that went to the police for help, never received help. And then when it's too late, we're the ones that is wrong.
It was such an important story. I hope I don't start crying during the interview. But that being said, I remember to like, subscribe, hit that bell button, really support of this channel is growing. And I so appreciate you all seeing what I'm doing here and bringing these very, very important people to my platform to give voice to, on some level, the voiceless of the transgender community. So today I have Kai, who's such a beautiful human, and his story is fascinating, sad. I mean, it's actually going to blow you away. So, hey, Kai, I'm so excited to see you. And I just want you to introduce yourself, and then we'll move on with the interview.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Kai Peterson from South Georgia, Black trans guy. I was incarcerated in 2011. I came home in the summer of 2020. And it's been a struggle ever since, honestly.
So you were incarcerated from 2011 to 2020?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I remember when you reached out to me. My gosh, I was shocked. So you just got out, like it's been only a couple of years now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So can we talk about your incarceration? And you don't have to say why you were. It doesn't matter to me unless you're comfortable with that. So in 2011, what happened that you got incarcerated?
In 2011, I was sexually assaulted, and the person that done that was shot, and they died from a gunshot wound.
Okay.
So I was taken to the county jail. Mm-hmm. They took me to a rape clinic. They done the test, confirmed my story, but it didn't matter. The crazy thing is, even though, and then one of the sad things was the nurse was like, "You don't look like a rape victim. Like, what the hell what does that look like?" I didn't understand that.
Oh God.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
So from the beginning of everything, it was just, that was the way it was. That was how, they saw me, because at the time I wasn't too sure on all of the terms. I just knew that in my mind I was just a man, and that was just it. I didn't know about transgender, so I didn't know any of the terminology. Like, I didn't know. I was just like, I'm somewhere, maybe I'm just, well, I can't be gay, but I don't know what I am, type thing. But so it was a big mess from, that when they took me into the jail to going to that place, being fingerprinted, and then actually having my day in court, which really didn't happen because I had to take a plea deal, because I was told that, if I didn't, I would get life. And my public defender said, what do you think these good old white ladies would think if they see you in their neighborhood at night? And I'm like, what does it have to do with anything? I was attacked here, but it didn't matter.
Didn't matter. I mean, that's real. I mean, as a white person, I'm going to tell you, I do believe that might have been the case, right? If your jury was all older white ladies or something, we all know, everyone out there, come on, just be honest. This is actually true. So your lawyer told you to take the plea because if you didn't, you would have gotten possibly life in prison.
Yes.
For killing your rapist.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm like, actually, every time I hear this story, dude, I mean, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing so I don't cry. So, you know what I mean? Every single time I hear your story, I'm shocked.
It was just, honestly, Buck, it was just really a bunch of bullshit, because they knew from that moment when I came in, and it's like, when things happen and you report it and nothing happens after that, they have all the evidence they need and they do nothing. Then what are you faced with? Like, what can you do to protect yourself?
That's right. So you got sexually assaulted. You shot the person out of self-defense. That's self-defense, right?
Mhm. Yes.
And he ended up dying, right? So it
Yes.
immediately becomes what? Now what were the charges brought against you?
Well, they had a whole list
Mm,
of charges.
mm,
They said, "Oh, well, it was a robbery attempt. It was a They just had like so many, and I'm like, what is? Why would I be trying to rob somebody? Like, what sense does that make?
yeah.
Oh, well, this is the reason why you got attacked because you lied and said this. So it was one of those things where it was like it went on for so long, and I remember when I got arrested. I was actually arrested on the 28th,
Mm,
and I guess the charges or whatever wasn't done until the 30th. So I pretty much sat there those first couple of days, uh, going through interrogations in a cold room. They would come in and out, and it was like, and sometimes I would sit in there for hours. And then finally, at one point, I was just like, okay, hell with it. Whatever y'all say, that's what happened. Because
wow.
I was just ready to get it over.
I know. That's what they do. They beat you down until so they didn't even did you didn't know that you could ask for a lawyer at that
No.
point? Yeah. No, most people don't. I really this is so important, my friend. Thank you for sitting with me because people out there need to hear that. Never say anything. Ask for a lawyer. Just immediately. Don't, but of course you're in a situation where you're scared and I've been
And
there. It's scary.
and that was like, honestly, that was first my first contact with the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
Prior to that, I had I think it was like a disorderly conduct, and
Mhm.
that was because I was talking too loud at my house. The cops got called. I was probably like 16, 17 when that happened.
Sure.
So I was taken down, to the jail. My mom came and got me like right afterwards. So
Mhm.
I never seen like the back of the actual jail until that day, and that was terrible. It was,
Terrible.
ugh,
Terrible. I can't even imagine,
yes.
my friend. So they take you, they put you in jail, and then what happens?
Well, I sit there for the next 18, 19 months.
Yeah,
Um, I seen my lawyer
yeah,
one time,
yeah,
and he came that
yeah,
weekend right before court, and he's like,
yeah.
"This is the plea that they're offering because I
Okay,
don't think it's nothing we can do.
okay.
You should take it." So I'm like,
Mhm.
"But I'm telling you, self defense." He was like, "There's no self defense law in
Uh-huh.
Georgia." So I was told that we don't have a self defense law. But when
What?
I was incarcerated, yeah, that's what I was told. But when I was incarcerated, I found out that we have a stand your ground law.
And you didn't know that?
And I didn't know that. And it took me, I had already been locked up for maybe 5 or 6 years before I found that out.
Oh my God, my friend. This is I remember when I spoke with, I think it was your girlfriend or your wife during the time, and
Mm-hmm.
she was passing on all the information and all the struggles you were going through in that. So gosh, dude, I mean, there's just so many things going on here for me right now. So I
Yes.
want, and I'm sure people listening to this. So wow, dude, it's so crazy. And
Yeah.
so were you identifying, your identification, was it a female identification at the time?
Yes.
And so I heard in the beginning you were saying I'm not sure what I was doing or where I was going with
Yeah,
that.
but and
Yeah.
I always said though that I was a guy,
Mhm.
but they still, I was still
Yeah.
labeled
A
as a
female.
female.
Right.
Still put in their housing unit, and
That's right. Okay. So yeah, that was my question. They put you in the female prison system, right? You were,
yes.
and so while you were there, can you tell me a little bit about the treatment you got when you were inside that space? Yeah.
Wow, that was that was horrible. Um, Before I even actually made it to the actual prison system, we had to go through something called diagnostic,
Okay.
and it was my first day there actually, and they had an inspection, and we had just came from, I guess, getting processed in where they make you take your hair out if you have hair and all this stuff. So we
Right.
were on our way to the back. I knew nothing about how my locker was supposed to be, in formation or anything.
Okay.
And they came for an inspection. The uh, chief or whatever at the time, he had the biggest problem with me. he attacked me so much. He's like, are you dumb? What is wrong with you? And he's, what are you here for? And so I go to try to explain to him, and he has me around. It was maybe 8 other people because it was an 8-person room because it was bunk beds in the room. And I'm explaining, trying to explain to him. I'm like, I just got here. I didn't know. I was trying to get my stuff together, and they called inspection. Well, from that point on, every time he saw me, he would single me out. He would make me run. He would just make me do weird stuff. Um, and it got so bad to the point to where I didn't even want to come out of my room. So I would sit all day in my room, and that went on even after I left there for a couple of years because I was just scared because it was like the officers all had it in for me, and I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
And then they would say things like, "Oh, well, you just want to be a man," or we can show you what it is to be a man. Like, what does that even mean?
Well, they
Like,
were
why would you say that? You know?
the homophobia, transphobia, right? All of it because you're a butch looking female, right? At the time, I don't mean
Yeah.
to be disrespectful, but you know what I
Yes.
mean. Like as a female, that you or masculine, and they can't handle that. Especially where is this again? South
South.
Carol,
No, in Georgia.
Georgia.
So it's like, and this is like literally the Bible Belt.
Yep.
You can my house, and there's a church. You're going to pass a church on the left. You're going to go down a little bit more. There's going to be 2, 3 churches, side by side. So it's like they are so into that they just try to, wrap that into everything. So everything is a sin. You're going to hell. And I was raised and brought up, well, you're going to hell if you do this and if you do that.
Yep.
And because of how I was growing up, then I was automatically let them tell it going to hell.
That's right, of course, and so that's just all over in the whole system and everything, and they can't handle
Yes.
somebody like you, and so of course, so you're getting harassed for like the first 5 years of your sentence from the get go,
Yes.
from the minute you were put into that space, you were. But was there
Yes.
other masculine people?
Yes, it was. And the crazy thing was there was masculine people in the county jail that didn't face any of the things that I had to face. And once I got to prison, I met a bunch of masculine guys.
Sure.
And I met this one older guy, Mike. He's really cool, love him to death. And he would take up for me because I was so quiet, and I didn't want to say anything. But then it got to a point to where once we got separated, and I went to the prison that I was going to be at, and I think he got shipped there, and then he ended up going home. I had to start standing up for myself. So I was like, I can't take any more of the harassment from the officers, the comments from the other inmates. I'm going to have to say something. And once I started doing that, honestly, I started. Um, they would put me in like lockdown. They would find a reason, like it would be little reasons to lock me away. And then they got mad at me because I had a mental health counselor at the time that cared about me and what I had going on. And she was actually one of the people that I could say that actually listened to me. And I was like, I'm trying to explain to them. They keep calling me girl, and I was like, I don't like it. It doesn't feel right. She understood that, and she told me, the next steps I should take. And once she told me that, I reached out to because me and Pinky had already been talking about it, but that mental health counselor confirmed everything that me and Pinky had discussed beforehand.
Right.
So I knew that, hey, I need to actually do something about this.
Right. Right. No, I know. I remember. Oh gosh, I just remember so much of it because Pinky and I were real keeping in close contact around all of this and trying to get you help. But it's like I remember, like we couldn't even find people to step up and help. It was frustrating. Beyond, I'm like, this dude is suffering. They are abusing him. And everyone's just like turning their heads as if like it's not possible this is happening, or how do we help you? How do we help you? People in prison, they're there serving their time, whatever that means. Doesn't mean you can trample over somebody's basic human rights of
Mm-hmm.
just respect, right? And not being called names. And did you go on a hunger strike? Did it?
Yeah.
You did.
I did a couple of things because it was like I got so tired of like the constant backlash from them. Um like they would do just things just to try to get under my skin.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm not going to go for it. They told me that I couldn't shave my head. It was just a lot of stuff. Oh, according to the rules, you can't do this. So I was constantly being thrown in lockdown. So I was constantly isolated from, general population. I was by myself a lot. And at one point I had got myself together according to their standards because they had me on a whole bunch of mental health meds. And one day they came in to do an inspection on our dorm, and we had been standing by our doors for 2 hours at attention for 2 hours while they were on the other side tossing the other end of the dorm because it was in pods. Yeah, so we're standing by the doors. My medicine is kicking in really bad, and I'm barely hanging on. So I go in my room, and as I go in my room, they see me as they're going out. So they come in and they start on me, and I'm like, look, I'm not feeling good. The unit manager was with the inspection team. He was like, okay, well, since you're not feeling good, just sitting here, but we'll be out of here in a minute. I was like, okay. So then he talks to a CERT officer, and this officer could not stand me for whatever reason. And he was like, oh, you just gonna let it just sit there? Everybody else got to stand by their door for inspection. So I'm still sitting on the toilet looking out at them like, he's really saying this like it's okay. They come back in, the unit manager, he tucks his tail pretty much. Is like, oh, you got to come stand by the door. And I'm like, I'm sick. I cannot stand up. I don't have it in me to stand up. This medicine is really getting me right now. So I refused to go stand by the door because I could not do it. So then they bring up like the rest of the CERT team. So it's like 5 huge freaking officers. And then they have the other officers that was with the inspection team. So they come into my cell and they grab me. And at this point, I don't know where my strength came from, but I fought them off because it's like, hey, what the hell are y'all doing? It's like, seriously, it was like 10 of them and it's one of me. And we're in a very small room. It has a bunk bed. It has a little toilet sink area, and it has a desk and a locker directly in the, in the center of the room. And y'all are like slamming me into stuff. So I have to fight y'all back. So they finally get me down because I put up a hell of a fight. I wasn't the only person that was limping after this, just so everybody know. So yeah, so they finally get me down, and I don't know how this happens, but by the time they get me down and get me outside of the actual threshold of that door, my pants are down. Nobody thinks to pull them up. Instead, they decide to hog tie me and carry me down the stairs. So on the way for them carrying me down the stairs, I told them, I said, all I know is y'all motherfuckers better not drop me, because y'all already done came here and attacked me, and I'm telling y'all I'm sick. So I was taking the lockdown. I sat in lockdown for a while. My mental health counselor came and talked to me. I explained to her what happened. And she goes up to them with, my list of meds. And she's like, y'all not understand? Like, I was on so much, and they didn't have me on like the low dosage. They had me on like the highest that you can give a person. So I don't even know how I was able to walk and stand up half of the time.
Wow.
Because I had to take this up 3 times every day. Yeah. So first thing in the morning, I will go to pill call at 5 a.m. They done that inspection that day. It was probably like 12 something, but I had them just left from another pill call. So the medicine was on my ass because it hasn't wore off from when I took it first thing this morning. And she goes to them with that list and she said, y'all need to get him out, take him back to where y'all got him from. So I got put back in my dorm, but that didn't stop them from saying stuff.
Wow. The abuse, my friend.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So do you
think
the meds?
I think most of it
go on.
I think most of that came though from it was never really the female officers that had an issue with me. It was always the male officers. Some of the female officers had an issue, but it wasn't, too much of anything. They would say what they had to say and then they'd be done with it. But the male officers would continually say stuff. It would try to provoke me
Wow.
in any way they could. They try to make me stand out in the sun for hours. And with certain medications, you can't be out in the sun, but they
No,
didn't care.
no.
And they were like, "Oh, well, you still got to say." I'm like, "Well, I got this thing for medical, and it says I can't be in the sun." "Oh, well, you don't say that when you beat in the compound to go see your girlfriend." What the hell does that have to do with me standing out here for 2 hours in the sun?
They, they, I mean,
Yeah.
thank you so much for exposing this, Kai. No, I'm not kidding. I mean, as we know, you're probably not the only one who deals with this nonsense. Anybody who's different or, in the prison system right now or forever have dealt with this kind of stuff, but we really haven't been able to sort of expose. We do expose it on some level, but I don't think it resonates out there with the people who just think anyone who goes to prison doesn't have rights or doesn't deserve, you know what I mean? Like there has to be some basic human rights going on here. Yeah, you are serving time for whatever reason that is, but it doesn't mean you need to and get to be humiliated and talked down to and put in very, very dangerous positions like they did with you. It's disgusting. And I'm glad that you're exposing this so many people will see this. And whatever you think about prison people out there, it doesn't matter. People should not be treated like animals. It's not okay. There's nothing okay about it at all. Because now look at your mental health. So your mental health really did start to deteriorate when you got there. Am I correct?
Yes.
And that's why you were on so many medications. So the medications were to help you not feel depressed or however.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, was it really mostly depression you had?
Yes, depression, anxiety. They never treated me for my ADHD or ADD. They never treated for that, but for the depression and the anxiety, they definitely treated me for that. They gave me so many different meds. They was trying me on all kinds of stuff. I think at one time, I think I was on like Paxil. I was on
Sure.
what was the other? It was
God, there's so many.
it was I can't even think of the name, but like they had me on so many different ones, and I was like, I just can't keep taking it. So I finally stopped, and I started feeling better. I was still depressed, but I had to find something to do with myself so I wouldn't be depressed.
That's right. That's right. And what was it that you find for yourself to?
I actually started talking more with Pinky about starting Freedom Overground because I was like, people can't be treated like this. We have to find a way to fix it because this sucks. Like,
God.
why do people have to be treated like this?
They
Why?
don't, and they shouldn't be. And I don't care what anybody says about whatever people are doing in prison. There has to be basic human rights there, and you did not get them. And so now let's segue into what you just said to me. So you realize there are other people, and this is not okay. So you used your suffering in a way to create a program, did you not?
Yes.
And what's the name of that program?
It's Freedom Overground.
Freedom
And
Over?
people, yes, Overground. And people can go check it out at freedomoverground.org.
Great.
And what we do direct support services for individuals that are incarcerated. A lot of Black people of color, trans, non-conforming, pretty much anybody on the LGBTQ spectrum, and anybody else that that reaches out to us for help. If we're able to help, then we do that. We write letters. We help them file medical complaints, or at least tell them how to. Help them with filing grievances, both inside the facility and outside. For the ones that want to get started on hormones, we send them a guide that shows them how they can actually get that started. How to start that process.
Did you do that? And did you do that when you were incarcerated? Did you start taking hormones?
Yes.
Excellent. They
fought with me for years before it finally happened, and then they got so tired of Pinky calling up there. They got so tired of her constantly calling because she would call and they would pull me up from my dorm or detail or wherever I'm at. You need to get her to stop calling. I'm like, I can't make her stop calling. I don't know what to tell you. Like they would actually tell, like they would actually say that. And I'm like, well, I can't make her stop. I don't know what to tell you. She's going to keep on until y'all do what y'all supposed to.
That's right. She's relentless.
Yes.
Thank God for her. She's incredible. She would not give up. in any way,
Yes.
shape, or form. So I have to tell you, thank you for so you know, I think you're so awesome, Kai, because the suffering you went through, you didn't just sort of take that on. You saw how you could help. And that's really what I want people to see. This is community to me. You are a community person. You care about other people not going through the system in the way you did. And this is why I feel very connected to you. And I always have. I think you have such a big heart, and you went through such horrible. I mean, gosh, dude, you should probably write a book. I think you should think about. No, I'm not kidding. You really should think about writing a book. It's a really, especially as a trans person, and a trans person of color, your experience is very important, because we don't know how many other trans people are dealing with this, which they probably are. So I want to ask you this question. Did you ever think about moving to a male prison space or not?
I thought about it because to see my doctor, the endocrinologist, had to go to the that facility to see him. And I thought about it. I was like, it would be better, but then I like to be around the girls. So that was the part that kind of like, yeah, I'll stay over here.
Right on. I would have stayed there too, to be honest with you. I would.
Was like, yeah.
But do you know of any trans men who have said they would like to be transferred to a male prison? Do you know any?
I met a guy while I was there, and he did want to go to a men's facility. But I think he even mentioned it to them, but they told him because of his mental health disorder that they didn't think that would be a good idea for his safety and something else.
Safety. I think so. I think it's a safety thing. I think
personally, it really is.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really is, because even when I went for my doctor's appointment, and by the time, and this has been maybe 2.5 years after starting hormones, and a couple of the other guys, I got them started, so they were going with me, and it was maybe one or two like really big guys, like really bigger than me, because I'm small. But so we would get off of the bus or the van or whatever, and we're chained up together. We're going into the see the doctor, and you got guys standing out everywhere. And these are some pretty big sized guys, and we're all looking at them like, okay. And then they would always, somebody would always make a joke, but they try something, we all gonna have to kick his ass. I was like, yeah, because it's not gonna happen, not today. Because it was like when we would go in and they would start bird calling, like it was one of those things to where it's like, maybe this is not where I need to be.
Right. No, I honestly, I don't think it's safe for guys like you and I to be, especially if we don't have surgery on the bottom. And I think we are in a very vulnerable space. I mean, I just been to regular jail, right? Not the prison system. And that was in New Orleans. And oh my gosh, dude, I was like, I'm a tranny. Like, put me in the tranny space. Like, I am not going in gen pop. No way. It's scary.
And the crazy thing is, like, when I started hormones, and I had been on them for maybe 4 to 5 months at the time, and they came in for routine inspection, and I was taking a lockdown because they weren't sure how the hormones was going to affect me. That was their reasoning behind it. So and I had been on it for months now, and I was doing better than I had been my entire sentence, because taking the hormones made me feel more and more like myself. Every shot, I just felt more and more like me. It just little piece of me just coming back. And I was taking the lockdown, and they said it was for, because they didn't know what would happen. It was for my safety. And I had to explain to them, I've been in this prison for this long. I've been on hormones now for 5 months. We haven't had any issues. I need to go back to my dorm. Oh, well, you're going to grow a dick. Where? Please, somebody explain that to me, because I haven't seen it, and I'm really upset because, listen, that was their information. Like, this is what's going to happen. That's why we did it. damn it. Well, you probably jinxed it then if that was the case. You know what I mean?
No
So it's
kidding.
like, so I was like, are you serious? So I had to, they done that for my safety. And I'm like, well, I mean, I can't get nobody pregnant. So what is the issue here? I don't even understand, So it was a mess,
No, they're messing
honestly.
with you. We know. Me and you both know that they're just messing with you. And again, I'm not siding on that space, but I'm just the misinformation that these people have. They don't understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, and the necessity for it. And you just said it. Your mental health got better when you started to take the testosterone because it leveled you out. You really
Yeah,
needed to find that space.
I was off that. Like my levels
Yeah.
before starting was
Yeah.
like at four something.
Wow.
My
Okay.
T level before starting, so I already had a high T level.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing was, it wasn't balanced. I guess
That's right.
balanced the way that it needed to be for a
That's right.
guy my age.
Yeah.
Um, and the crazy thing about the prison was they had everything. Pinky sent them packets and packets of information
Mhm.
on hormones, on
That's right.
everything, like
Mhm.
how it would affect me.
Mhm.
Um, so they had all of this information, and it was sent to each person that is in a position of power, from the warden, deputy wardens, all of them, care and treatment, deputy warden of
Okay.
security,
Uh-huh.
medical staff. So and she even sent it to the mental health
Okay.
department.
Uh-huh.
So each person had it.
Interesting.
The thing was, they neglected to actually even look at it and read it to understand.
That's right. They don't care. They just
No,
don't care. There's it's obvious. I mean, we don't it's fucking obvious. They don't care. They don't You're in prison. That's all they see you as, this sort of bad person, right? And that you don't deserve any of this sort of space. It's like they don't want you to get better. That's how I feel. Incarceration now doesn't feel like a space where they're trying to sort of, yeah, you got to spend your time, but don't we have to rehabilitate? Isn't it supposed to be rehabilitation, whatever that means?
it's supposed to be, but I didn't see that.
Of course
And
not. Everybody I've ever talked to has been incarcerated says there's no rehabilitation. There's
if
this
you want it,
damage.
yeah, if you want it, you have to do it for yourself. They did not
That's
me
right.
going to. They
Yeah.
did not me because when I went in, I didn't have my GD. They
Right.
denied it,
Hmm.
and I had been there at this point for almost 4 years before I actually even got a chance to even go to the school. So I get in school. I was in school for maybe a couple of weeks
Hmm.
because they had a pre-test coming up to see how you would actually do on the GD test. It was like a prep test. So I took it. I passed it. It's like, oh, this is high. Why you hadn't been signed up? I was like, I've been trying to get in school. They just would never let me. So when it came time to take the test, I was like, I want to take it. The deputy warden of care and treatment at that time told me, if you take it and you fail, you're going to lockdown because you wasted our time.
Uh,
Guess what? I took it first try, did not fail. But right before I took the test, I spoke to one of the teachers. We had a computer and business class. I spoke to her. I said, "Look, Miss Russ, I really would like to get in school.
mhm.
I really would like to get in your class. I don't have my GD yet. I'm taking my test, and I know I'm going to pass it." She said, "When you pass it, let me know." Guess what? I took that test. I passed it. I came back. High scores on all of it. I had the highest scores out of my class.
Wow, dude. Right on. Right on.
and and they denied that, and it was like, you're gonna have to wait until you're close to leaving. I was like, I have
What?
a yeah. I was like, do you not understand the sentence? I have a 15-year sentence. I'm not gonna wait. I was like, this is something I need to do now
That's right.
while it's still fresh in my mind.
Mhm.
It's like, no, because we try to put lifers in. Well, damn, that doesn't even make sense.
No, I mean, you're in there for life. The people who are going to actually get back into society are the
Yeah,
ones that definitely need to be pushed to the front of the line, because you're the ones who are coming back out here into the world. And nobody wants to see you struggling when you get out. I think the majority of people who see people coming out of prison want to give you a second chance. You don't need to be living off whatever that is. Or I mean, everybody I know wants to get a job and move forward in their life, but you
yes,
have this stigma. There's this stigma about you being incarcerated that never leaves.
it follows you.
It's
It follows
gross.
like When I came home, I had to, within the first, I think, 24 or 48 hours, I had to get in contact with my parole officer. So I had to go meet with him. He told me, you need to get a job, you need to get driver's license, fix your license, you need to do this, this, and this.
Okay.
And then you have a fee to pay every month.
Mhm.
Like, it didn't say anything in my court papers about a fee. He was like, oh, it's just a supervision fee, so you have to pay that.
You
Okay.
have to pay it
Yes.
to your parole officer?
Yes. For them to supervise me.
Wait a
So,
minute.
yeah.
Wait a minute. I don't think many people know this. Wait a minute. Aren't you still in the system? When you
Mm-hmm.
get a parole officer, isn't that still part of the system?
Yes.
Our taxpayers are supposed to be on some level. We pay for I'm
I'm,
confused.
yeah.
Wow.
So every month I have to pay by a certain time. I have a fee that has to be paid. So I have to pay it. But the crazy thing was when I got out, they gave me all this. Well, you need to do this, this, and this, but they didn't give me any of the documents I needed when I left prison.
Mhm.
I didn't have. Only thing they gave me was a little card, which they took a picture of me, had my name, my birthday, and then it says something about Georgia Department of Corrections on top.
Mhm.
I was supposed to use that to go get all of my documents, like my ID, Social Security card, birth certificate.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for who had it? I think my mom had my stuff. If it wasn't for that, I would have been screwed because nobody was accepting that Georgia Department of Corrections ID when I went places. Nobody accepted that.
Oh my gosh, man. It's a trap.
Yes.
What about the other people who don't have a mom who has their stuff? What happens to them?
They will be lucky if they have it when they get out
Oh
because
my God.
majority of the people that get out do not have those documents. They're supposed to have them for you. They made us take a reentry class where we go fill out these papers
Mhm.
for the Social Security card, the birth certificate,
Mhm.
and when you get out, they're supposed to have it. They didn't have mine.
What? I mean, the failure of the system to sort of help you get back on your feet. They don't want you to it's like they don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Did it feel that way to you?
Yes,
Like
it did.
it's
It
so
really did.
bizarre. It doesn't make sense to me. Because it just doesn't make sense because reentry, right? So reentry should be a space that helps you get your IDs, all your stuff, get back into society. I want you to be able to be a functioning human, not be doing repeat offend. Why this is why people repeat offend because they don't have the tools on some level. You spent 10 years. Was it 10 years of your life
Just about.
10 years is a lot. And what age were you when you went in there?
I was 20.
Gosh. What that age is so vulnerable. You were 20 to the almost to the age of 30. You spent your
Mm-hmm.
life in incarceration. So you get out and no one's on some level helping you get back on your feet.
No, I
Wow.
got out. I've had a zillion jobs at this point. That's probably an
Wow.
exaggeration, but I've had so many jobs at this point.
Wow.
And the problem that I always encounter with jobs
Uh-huh.
is, when I go to fill out my applications,
Mhm.
I put everything that I'm supposed to, and I'm completely honest
Mhm.
about my past.
Mhm.
But that doesn't help because I'll get the job and they will have either issue with me going to the restroom because they want me to go to the female's restroom. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why would I go in there and this is how I look?
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, why would I do that?
Wow. And no woman
That's not
wants you.
safe.
No, gosh, no, not for either
Yeah,
people. Yeah, not for women don't want you in there anyway. Dudes don't care that you use the toilet. That's why
no.
it's so wacky. I mean, you look or present very male. No one would ever think otherwise
Yeah,
about you.
like I can go out to dinner and I could go to it's never an issue. But it's the job. Like I can go, I work, bust my ass. I'm working my 40 hours a week, then I'm pulling in maybe
Mhm,
20 to 30 overtime.
mhm,
And that was every week.
mhm,
And then when I spoke up to them, about the bathroom issue because they
mhm,
kept trying to send me to that one,
mhm,
it was a problem. Then they started taking my money. And then we had
Wow.
a big problem because I was like, hey,
Wow.
look, I have to
Wow.
live here. And
Wow.
once I said something about it, they terminated me. It was nothing I could do about it.
Wow, dude.
And that just continues to happen.
So they can terminate you over that?
Mm-hmm.
But also,
Apparently they can.
this is just insanity. Like, so we're having a lot of issues here in our community about trans women or women, trans men or men, blah 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 blah. This sort of space
Mm-hmm.
here, and then we have this issue with trans women should use the women's room, trans men. Now we need to have some nuance in that conversation. People like me and you who full on look male should never be in the women's room ever.
Yes.
And
Never.
most women will agree with you on that
Mm-hmm.
situation. They would much rather you use and so would men. Men don't care. Here's what I want to go into now. Oh gosh. I mean, my heart just swells for you because what you had to go through is so gross. Nobody should go through it. But as trans people, we need to have these conversations. People don't talk to trans men who have been incarcerated. We don't have enough conversation around it. So first, I want to thank you for starting that organization. But secondly, let's talk about when you were released now from incarceration. And you're trying to get jobs and people are being so kind of transphobic on some level. How are you surviving right now?
Well, that's the crazy thing. I had a job. I've been home now for a little while, but I had a job driving trucks. This was my last job. But I got really sick. I got sick with pneumonia, and that was because we were stuck in negative 35-degree weather for a couple of days, and I just got really sick, so I can't even do that.
Wow.
And pneumonia is it's a tough one.
Well, you could die. Yeah, you could die from pneumonia, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, because that fluid starts building up in your lungs and stuff, and it's really bad.
So, how are you surviving financially? Did you get it? Well, you said the truck driving and all of that, but
that's what I was doing. But I haven't been able to do that. Yeah, I haven't been able to do that since before Christmas was the last time I was actually able to work. So recently, I've just been doing pretty much kind of like volunteer work at Freedom Overground. So I'm just keeping, in contact with the clients we do have that's incarcerated, supporting people that are, out here that's just coming home. So pretty much that's what I've been doing.
Excellent. And we're going to put the information in down below when I put the video up of how people can help, because I'm really asking people out there, we need your help. First off, he created a great organization. Secondly, if we want people to get out of incarceration and be part of society, we have to help, especially our community and especially the trans community. They need to start to see these stories are real. And so let me ask you a little bit about the community. If you want to talk about it, it's okay if you don't, but I'm wondering, has the community kind of stepped up on some level to see and help you?
No, honestly, no. I had a lot of support when I was inside. And that support came from them saying that, they're going to be there when you get out, Kyle, just reach out to us. And I got out, I reached out to those same people, those same organizations, and nothing, crickets. That's all I hear. So it's like they said they're going to help. And then when you mentioned, hey, you said you was going to help me and I really need help, then they don't. It's only one actual organization that I can say that has, two actually, that I can say has been really supportive. Anytime they have any type of panels or any type of convenings going on, I'm being invited. And that's BGR.
Okay, great.
Slash, and that's
slash.
What is it? TGIJP. Miss Janetta, her network. And also, I've done work with Kobe and Alyssa from Black and Pink.
Great.
They had the Survivors Council. They invited me to be a part of that with a few other people, and I was very thankful for that because it gave us a chance and a space to actually talk about the issues
Mhm.
of how it is to come in contact, with the criminal justice system, to be, whether black and trans or to whatever it is, and to have to face, those odds alone without support when we're the victims, but it's being put out that, you know, we're the attackers here, we're the problem.
That's
It
right.
was it was people that I met on that council that had domestic violence issues that went to the police for help, never received help. And then when it's too late, we're the ones that is
That's
wrong.
right. That's right. I mean, thank you for saying that. People don't, they only see one side of the story. Well, you shot the dude and you killed him. Tough shit. Now you're, no, there's an actual real story behind Kai's story of self defense. What happened to that? Why is he not allowed to, sorry, dude, you died, but, I don't think that was your intention.
Yeah, and it's like I had posted something. It was a fundraiser. I had posted, and these guys were so freaking mean. It was like, well, we're not losing sleep. You deserve to have to bust your ass because you killed somebody. What did you think was going to happen? And
Oh
it's
my
like, do you
God.
even know what I went through? Like, no one knows the
No, they
mental
don't.
shit that
They don't.
I still battle with it today.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I bet you do because people, I mean, I couldn't even imagine being in your space because people aren't believing you or you deserve it because you killed this person. But circumstances matter here, right? Intention matters. Your intention was self defense. Whether people want to say whatever they want to say, go ahead and put yourself in Kai's position. It's like, that was not, I really, knowing your whole story and knowing the background, it was never your intention to kill that person. It just happened because of circumstances that man put himself in. You didn't do that. He put
Mhm.
himself in that space. So why are you that's what I don't understand. Why are you the one suffering, you know, in this space? It's so disgusting. And these are the stories that to me are, especially as trans people, we need to start telling these stories, and then you get abused with your gender stuff and just the abuse you got inside a system where you're already paying for what happened, and you get out and you're still paying for it, and you're paying for it mentally, physically. So are you do you have a family? Are you married, and
Yes,
or you okay?
I'm married.
Mhm.
I love my wife. She's a bit crazy at times, but I love her. So yeah, I have a wife and I have two small kids. I have a daughter, and we have a
Oh,
daughter and a son.
great. That's awesome. You're a dad. Oh, that's beautiful.
And they mean the world to me. Like
Yeah.
when I was incarcerated, all I had at that point in time was my mom, my sister, and my two brothers.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I lost my younger brother in February, but 4 months before I came home.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
then
Oh,
when I actually got home, I didn't know my other brother was he was locked up, so he is currently uh, serving a life sentence. So I'll never get to
oh
see him.
God, man.
So so for me, I lost a whole lot being locked up.
Yeah.
Um, but one thing that I can say I'm very thankful for is actually being able to come home and spend some time with my great grandmother before she passed.
Oh, thank
Because
God.
she,
Oh,
yes, she passed last year in February. But I thank God that I was able to come home and I was able to see her and spend time with her before that
yeah.
happened.
Thank God.
And now I have my own family, which I'm very thankful for because I have something that I can say is mine.
That's
I
right.
have my beautiful wife. We have our two kids.
Oh,
I have a dog. He's not able to live with us right now,
all
but
right.
I'm going to get him back.
Right on.
Um,
Right on. Yeah.
but I'm just very thankful for that, though, Book. I really am.
I know that I've always felt that from you, even through your struggles. You're always such a grounded, really like you're so, that guy who's not asking for, and you never asked, you just on this way, you're just putting yourself out there. And that just says a lot about you as a person. I always felt your kind, beautiful heart, and you don't deserve this at all, Kai. You didn't deserve 10 years for that. It's disgusting, and the abuse, and And that's why we're having this conversation, because I really want the world. I think that your story has been missed and on some level, and I don't think you've got the platform to talk about this. And I think many people aren't seeing you because you haven't been on some level uplifted by our quote unquote community. And it makes me sad that people said all those things and then they didn't sort of follow up with you. How do you afford your hormones? Are they given to you from an organization or?
No, I have to pay for them. I
Mhm.
have to actually pay for my doctor visits too. But
Wow.
and that was the thing. I just spoke with Pinky. I think it
Mhm.
was a couple weeks ago. I was like,
Mhm.
I was feeling bad, and I didn't know why. But it was because I haven't been taking my shot because I was
Mhm.
down to my last vial, and I
Okay.
was feeling so bad. I didn't have no energy. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just don't feel good.
Oh, I hear the kids.
Yes, yeah,
How
yeah.
awesome. I'm so happy you have
She's
kids.
usually stuck. Look, she's usually stuck to my leg. So
She's like, "Where's daddy?" That's awesome, my friend. But you do seem happy. You do from gosh, just the trauma. So I'm gonna post all the links and the spaces that people can sort of just if anyone could just spare a dime or whatever, it would make my heart feel happy. But I think you deserve it. You just are somebody who's helping our community, but we need to help you back. And that's how
and
I
and And another thing I wanted to put out there, not only do I just help our community,
yeah,
but any person that is in need. I done a homeless drive in Atlanta. Well, I've
great,
done several, but the most recent
great.
one I done was it was during T-Door. And on the same day I had my event, I didn't know that they wanted me to do a speech.
Mhm,
So I went to do this speech with
mhm,
Darlene Wagner and Monica Helms. They invited me to do a speech, so I
great.
went to do the speech.
Mhm,
But I had a homeless giveaway where I gave away food, clothes,
amazing.
and I had put up a thing for it. Not many people donated, but what ended up happening was between my wife and us going through all of our stuff, our kids' stuff, then my mom, my aunt, we were able, I was able to take food, clothes, all of the essentials that they needed. I wish I could have done more, but I wasn't able to. But for me, it's just lending support to those that are in need,
Beautiful, beautiful.
and
I mean,
not
that's
it
it.
don't have.
Just because you went to incarceration does not make you a bad person. Just so you know, I want you to know that. So
Thank you.
a big love to you, my friend, and I'm going to put all his information below. And if anybody can just, do whatever you need to
Much
do,
love.
I would just love it, and it would help this man so much. He's doing great work in the world, and we need to help him. And remember to like, subscribe, and do all those things so we can continue to, bring these amazing stories to this
Yes.
platform and the people who don't get the voices in our community. It's not all TikTok love, love, love. There's a lot of stuff going on that needs to be talked about here that I believe that isn't
Yes.
being. So thank you, Kai, for joining
Yes.
us today, and thanks everybody for watching. And I hope the interview was very powerful for you all to hear Kai's story. And I'll see you guys next week. And thanks again for joining us.